Hey everyone, welcome to our first inaugural episode of Inflow TV, the live show. So I'm here with Taylor Backman, who is a senior evangelist at Zoho and heads the company's customer advisory board. Taylor has spoken at numerous Zoho customer events and webinars and is one of the company's most recognized customer advocates. So a big welcome and thanks for joining me, Taylor.
Hey, yeah, it's nice to be here, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Taylor, like I mentioned before, this is the inaugural episode of Inflow TV, the live episode, right? Where we'll be doing live interviews with people like yourself, technology providers, experts, leaders in workplace technologies and strategies, customer and employee experience. So just covering a wide range of topics and overall just, having interesting conversations with interesting people in a relaxed environment. So happy to have you here to talk about, what's been going on with Zoho, and top of mind is going to be this new workplace announcement.
Yeah, totally. We're really excited about what we're doing with Zoho Workplace. Zoho Workplace is a product that is basically enabling a digital workplace for organizations. It's this kind of collaborative environment where organizations are able to find the tools and the capabilities they need to work dynamically, to respond to very crazy changing market conditions, which of course we're all very familiar with these. Manage local and hybrid, local and remote forms of working and kind of entering into the new hybrid era, keeping customers at the heart of things, breaking down the internal boundaries, breaking, across org boundaries and working closer with partners, all this really great stuff in one, integrated, unified product.
Yeah, and so with a fully integrated platform, having these sort of contextual insights across, multiple applications. I mean, can you speak a bit to the benefits of that, and actually, especially as it relates to business outcomes?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that we've seen, organizations are really using a lot of cloud tools, and they're usually using a lot of them from different vendors. So we all recognize that we need these tools. The problem is that, there are certain challenges to having a bunch of tools to work with. One of them, of course, is integration, just getting them to work together. But the problem that we are addressing is the problem of contextual integration, which is blending products together in the ways that they should work together. So that way, you can do things that you just could not do before. So one example of this would be, in your inbox, not only do you have all of the capabilities of a secure business mail, but you can schedule meetings for your audio and video conferencing tool within 2 clicks right from within your inbox, right? You also, of course, have like your team communication platform that lets you do, the informal one-to-one, one-to-many, group chats or audio calls, video calls as well with your team. So, bringing together these different tools into a common unified interface.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've been going through, I guess, these unprecedented times, where now our work worlds and our home worlds have merged. How important is something like this, for remote workers, to bring context to their work life?
It's really important. I mean, I think that we've gone through a lot of change recently, and that's always very difficult on organizations. So it's really important that we're able to meet that need and provide the kind of flexibility in tools that allow organizations to move through those changes, while then also providing end users the kinds of functionality and an ease of use that makes it easy to adopt those new kinds of things. And one way to do that is by contextually integrating them, a new function that exists in a new app, but is in a familiar place, that's in a familiar interface. And that creates the kind of buy-in. It just makes it easier to get your work done. It kind of takes the work out of work, so you don't find yourself fumbling through all of these different tools, which is really, obviously preferred for everyone.
Yeah, and I can imagine, especially in the past few months, like you mentioned, things have changed so much. How much of the past few months has sort of gone into the development of the workplace platform and these features, and bringing some even deeper and richer context, especially with AI?
Yeah, I mean, we have been working on the workplace for quite a while. I mean, the very first application that Zoho developed was a word processor, and that was 15 years ago. So we've been involved in this space. We have the online office. We've been doing that kind of stuff for a very long time. One thing that happened with the kind of pandemic happening and the remote work shift was that we, immediately thought, okay, we need a way to bring in more remote, capabilities into like our team communication platform, which is a part of the workplace. And so one thing was like, being able to set statuses for when you're out for 15 minutes for a quick break, when you're out for lunch, checking in and checking out, being able to see who are on calls right now, who's out of the office on leave, being able to get all of that just in a quick view from within your team communication area is something that's really important when you can't just look over your shoulder and see if your coworker is sitting at their desk. So it was very important for us to develop those kinds of features, and we were able to roll them out pretty quickly, and they're available now.
Yeah, and so what's sort of been some of the initial beta feedback so far?
I mean, I think the feedback has been positive. I mean, the main idea, right, is that we all have all these different tools, so it's important to bring them together. So, I can think of, one small business, for example, Crown Bees, just outside of Seattle. I mean, what they said was that these tools are bringing their workers and their documents so close together that it feels like they're using the same laptop. Right. So I think that that's a pretty good idea of this idea of creating a shared, collaborative environment for an organization to use.
Yeah, and one thing, as I've tracked this industry, for so many years, it's been so important to have a collaborative culture, right, and an environment. But what's also been important is to see that there is a direct link between the technology and how people are feeling about work. One of the things that's been interesting the past several months has been seeing the altruism, of different technology providers. And one of those companies has been Zoho. So I want to ask you, what has these past few months been like, for you personally, and also as a customer advocate and working on this platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I mean, for one, I think you always have to, kind of count your blessings and try to be as positive as you can. But obviously, it's been very difficult, and it's been very difficult for a lot of people. I mean, we have like Great Depression employment numbers. I mean, that's not something that you just kind of shrug at, right?
Yeah.
So Zoho, we've tried to do programs where we're offering, a remote working software for free. We were providing subscription payment relief to customers who are having a hard time meeting, making ends meet. We're trying our best to be there as much as we can, because as a private, bootstrapped company, we've always depended on the relationships we have with our customers. So that's something that's been essential.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's been difficult, but the main thing is just trying to empathize with people. It's trying to recognize that we're all in this together, and it is real, right? I mean, that means that kids are going to maybe be heard on a Zoom call. That's not a problem, right? We're gonna have to talk to each other from our homes. We all have to recognize that we're in this together, and I think that's something that we've been trying to do.
That's true. 'Cause again, like I mentioned before, how home lives are sort of merged with our work lives, and the realization is that, we try to compartmentalize these things and make them separate, but those are imaginary delineations. They were never really separate, to begin with, So where do you think Zoho goes from here now with workplace and the future of work? Which is actually, I sometimes hate to use that term because it's the very present of work, because we're very present now.
Yeah, that's been my joke, right? Is that we always are talking about like things like digital transformation and the future of work. And it's like, well, yeah, the digital future is here. So I guess we need to find some new terms. But I think for Zoho, and for workplace, the direction is bringing tools together and putting them into well-integrated, unified products. And that means collapsing the boundaries between these different applications and contextually integrating them so that the capabilities that you need to get your work done are right there at your fingertips and don't require to go to a different application, re-log in, stumble through a UI or an interface that you're not familiar with, all of that kind of stuff. Bring the capabilities to the user for where they're at in their work, so it's easy to get things done. And so software is something that's actually a pleasure to use rather than this thing that you have to fight with to get something done that should have been simple.
Absolutely. One of my running mantras is that, technology has to come down in the flow of how people work. If it's above flow or out of flow, it's going to cause disruption. And we've also seen how that fails, adoption, right? The adoption suffers because of that. So from what you're describing, with workplaces that the platform is fully integrated, and this contextual search, contextual information data surface throughout a thing. And so it's more of a work solution than just a platform or a product. There's a solution for each particular business process, whether that be sales, marketing, HR, or what have you.
Yeah, totally. And I think one thing that helps to understand something maybe I should have mentioned earlier is the wide set of tools that are involved in this, right? So you have an online office suite with a word processor, spreadsheet, presentation tool. There's really cool, capabilities in these. These are fully developed things. For example, in the spreadsheet, you put a big data table in there, you hit a little green button, it automatically generates AI-generated charts, tables, reports. You can then drag them out and use them in your presentation. They'll dynamically update in that new space if the table gets changed, right? Pretty nifty.
Yeah.
There is things like email, team communication platform, social intranet where you can do long form posting. There's a meeting tool for audio and video calling. There's a unified document management system to complement, of course, all of those office editing tools. So, we're talking about a lot of really powerful tools that we're all familiar with, and trying to bring them together to kind of push into a new paradigm where the sum of these tools is greater than the parts, where 1 + 1 = 3, 2 + 2 = 5. That's really the goal.
That's awesome, man. And so again, thanks so much for coming on the show. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Just that I'm really glad that you're doing this. I love your setup. I love your little plant back there. I think you're doing a great job, man. And I'm really glad that you thought to include us in this inaugural episode.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, so that was like an Amazon plant. Had it flown in, right? It
was on rush order.
Yeah, exactly, right. And the guitars have been there. It's still taking me a year to change chords, so I'm still learning to play the thing. So I'm a struggling beginner still with the guitar.
It looks very nice either way.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much, Taylor, for joining us.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks, everyone, for joining as well, too. See you next time on Inflow TV.